Welcome to tonight's main event, the No Sell Wrestling Podcast, episode 14. And today, you're joined by me, Tequila the Body Ventura, and my two guests are. I haven't got a nickname for you, Com. I can't call you Comhausen, so Com the Demon. What should we call you, Com? Everyone needs a nickname.
Everyone needs a nickname. I don't know. Get back to me. I'll come back to you.
We have to get a gimmick for you, man. You've got to get you a gimmick. And Alan the Weasel Heenan, although he's not actually the Weasel. Who's got a picture of there, Alan?
That's Mantar. This man's a beast.
Wow. So Alan's decided to upload a picture of Mantar.
I've set myself a personal goal to put an obscure 90s wrestler up every single week. I've done it the last couple of weeks and no one's commented until now. I've done Dean Douglas, I've done Quang, and now I've done Mantar.
Yeah, the thing is, I know that you liked both Dean Douglas and Quang. I know that you got little soft spots. I know that you didn't like Mantar.
Cool. Yeah, Mantar was a bit, yeah.
Who did? Big up to Dermo in the chat. Hey, mate. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the last 7 days or so in wrestling. We'll do Raw and Smackdown. We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming PLE this weekend, which looks, at least on paper, like they put a little bit more effort into this one than they did Backlash. And then a little treat of a kind of a question at the end, where we're going to discuss who we think is the best overall wrestler of all time. And we've got a little criteria that I've stolen from Bret Hart. And Bret Hart, say what you want about him, but he did know his wrestling. So I will listen to what Bret Hart says on a lot of things to do with wrestling. So we're going to come up. I wonder what we're all going to pick. I wonder if we're going to have the same people. I actually think we're not. I think me, Colin, and Alan probably all look for something a little bit different. So I think we'll get three different answers. But okay. So let's do it in chronological order, if I can get it out. And we'll talk with last week's SmackDown. Look, it is the B show. It's been the B show from as long as I can remember. No matter what channel they put it on, they can put it on Fox, they can put it on whatever. It's always been the B show. It will always be the B show. So there's less interest overall, but it doesn't help that it is a worse show than Raw. It actually is. They have less star power. The storylines are even worse. So did any of us watch SmackDown or care? Be honest.
I've not cared for it years.
Yeah, me too.
Did you watch it, Con?
No, I don't. I watched the highlights of it, but I can't even. I think the last time I watched SmackDown, The Rock was still here.
You mean full time? You don't mean
Yeah, no, full time.
You don't mean Final Boss Rock?
No, full time. That was the last time I actually sat and watched a full episode of SmackDown.
That's like nearly 20 years, bro.
Exactly.
So, okay. So, but you've seen the highlights, and I do use the term highlights in quotation marks. Were there highlights, and if so, what was there for you, if any?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, I want to. I don't even know where to start. I'm going to start somewhere that me and Alan have spoken about in the group chat, and we agree on it. What the hell was that pin?
Are you talking about the Timothy Stratton one?
Yes.
Where rolled Lash Legend up in slow motion.
I haven't seen it. I've heard this. I have. So what happened? I haven't seen it. I've heard people talking about it. But
oh, mate. So Lash Legend's looking away, and Tiffany obviously comes behind and rolls her over to pin her. I swear down, it felt like it took 15 seconds for it to get down to pin her. It was so slow. It was awful.
I mean, the idea of a roll-up is a surprise pin, isn't it?
Yeah.
A surprise pin is a roll-up. Like you said, 15 seconds to rush a roller up, and then she just laid there and took the pin.
Whose fault was it? Whose fault was it? Was it Tiffany's or was it Lash Legend? Was it? Is that who?
It might be Lash Legend.
I mean, she is really Tiffany Stratton should at this point she should know a bit better. She's not that experienced, but at least she's got some years under her belt. Lash Legend is still really green, so I would assume it's probably her fault.
Green is goose shit.
Yeah, but yeah. Even even if it's Lash Legend's fault, you know, Tiffany's been there a while. They always turn around and say the more experienced person helps coach the other person through the match and whatnot. It just made the women's division, or some members of the women's division, look really bad. And they've put a lot of hard work into that women's division to make it actually like subpar watchable. Yeah, come at me, people. Come at me. Because that's all it is. It is subpar. But it honestly, it was horrible. I can't even think of anything like it. You know, to like try and help you describe it.
I mean, screwing up a complicated move, right? It's one thing, right? A roll up is one of the most simple moves, even though I've never been in the ring. Just by the execution of it, you can tell that it's one of the most simpler moves to do. So for them to screw that up, and the thing is, Lash Legend should be upset with herself because she's the one who took the pin. It makes her look the weakest of all because you know what? It's the picture I've got in my head, and this will ring some bells. I know Alan will remember this. Austin gets dropped on his head by Owen at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam actually.
Was it like that, Alan? The roll up pin. You remember the roll up pin?
I remember it. Yeah, it was in a clusterfuck because obviously they hadn't. That wasn't the finish to the match, and that was just like put together within on the fly. Yeah. This wasn't put up on the fly. This is actually the finish to the match.
Was the execution as bad though? Was the execution as bad though, Alan? As the Austin?
Worse.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's something then.
Sorry, Con. Go for it. Go.
So, as somebody who has been in the ring and has taken obviously roll-up pinfall losses and stuff, like you said, it's a quick snap thing. You know, you feel the touch on your leg and you go backwards. That's what's happened. It feels like she grabbed hold of a leg. It took 5 seconds for her to realize that what she's trying to do. Then she's kind of like trying to break her fall as she's going backwards. Then when she's in the pin, normally you're flailing legs trying to wriggle out and power out of it. There was nothing.
Did she sound? Com, you understand this term, don't you? She didn't sandbag her, did she? Why would she?
No, I won't say she sandbagged her.
No.
It didn't look that way. It just looked like she completely forgot the spot.
Wow. Is this another example? And there's been a lot of talk about this lately, and it's maybe something we should discuss at some point. Is this again why they need to bring back house shows? Because these guys who are coming up from NXT, there's exceptions to the rule. You know, there's guys who are like Ricky Saints, who has been in AEW, Royce Keys, who has been in AEW, but Lash Legend hasn't. She's somebody who's just come up through NXT, and she's not been anywhere else, from what I know. So is this a problem? She's not getting her reps in, and she's being thrust into primetime TV on a weekly basis now, and she ain't getting no chance to practice. Is this the problem when they're getting rid of all the house shows?
Could be.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, there's nothing stopping them, like turn around saying to her, "Look, we don't think you're quite ready. We've brought you up. It hasn't quite worked out. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a storyline where you have this match. If you lose, you go back to NXT, and she can go back there."
Yeah. They generally don't like sending people back. I know they sent Balor back. I know they have sent people back, but more often than not, it's something they tend to not want to do. Quickly, big up in the chat to Kuva. He agrees with you, Com. SmackDown has nothing to offer for decades, and to be honest, Raw isn't much better most of the time. Since TKO came in, and 3-hour shows have been mostly boring. I mean, I think the 3-hour show. Look, the first 3-hour show was Nitro, and that was too much. And that was what, 97, 96, 97. They went to 3 hours, and that was too. Yeah, that was too much. Nitro was the first one who went to 3 hours, and that was too much. And that was 25 years ago.
The thing is, as well, though, Tequila, it's a 3-hour show with ad breaks.
Well, yeah.
Just don't put the ad breaks on. Just give us the show.
They have to, mate. Like, the TV networks. Well, that's where the TV networks make their money. They can't. They can never do that, can they? Because that's how the TV networks earn their money. How are they going to do that?
It's just pathetic. They're on Netflix. They've had a multi-billion-pound contract on Netflix. You know, even if I think I don't know whether it's true or not, but somebody said to me, my mate pays for obviously they have to be able to skip the Netflix ads and stuff, and there's still ads.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Because everybody else has got to catch up. They can't. Everybody else has got to catch up. Do they not do picture-in-picture com?
Well, no. No, they don't. Apparently, no. It's pretty much like where we would get an ad, they would get an ad. It is pathetic, mate.
Alan, same question to you. Other than the from what sounds like a crappy little roll-up, anything else happen on that show for you?
I mean, Danhausen was there. He's got like a little science lab going on. So yep, they go the whole Hammer horror thing with him.
Oh.
And he told Nick Aldis.
You know who that's going to be? Have you heard the rumors? You've heard the rumors. So we've all heard the rumors.
Yeah, apparently he's on his way back from MLW.
And he's going to come in as a large he's going to come in as a comedy character for Danhausen.
I want if he's going to come back, I want Lone Wolf Baron Corbin back.
But that's the only version of him that was any good.
Yeah, Lone Wolf, bring the Lone Wolf back. The end of days was amazing. No one kicked out of it.
Oh, we just don't bring him back and we get rid of Danhausen.
There's that too.
That's also an option, yeah.
Don't worry, give it a year, he'll be gone.
Yeah,
he's too long.
He is going to outlive. Yeah, that is going to run its course way quicker than I think they realise. Right, so the only thing I've got to take from SmackDown, right, is I'm fed up of Sami Zayn losing.
Oh, mate, I've got this.
Yes, you're right.
I've got this on my notes. I've got notes at the side of me, and I've got this on my notes.
Go on in, Alan. If me and Con can talk about Sami Zayn, you say there's something else. What is it?
It's about that Sami Zayn match.
Oh, okay. Go on in.
So obviously Cody puts Sami Zayn down and he backs up to the ropes, and the impending Gunther interference is on its way.
Yeah.
So Gunther grabs Cody Rhodes. Sami Zayn goes for the breakup. I think he hits Gunther, and then Cody Rhodes does a very heelish thing, and goes straight back for Sami Zayn again, thinking, hang on, but didn't Gunther just attack you?
They're playing up this whole. Oh, Sami Zayn isn't ruthless enough. Sami Zayn doesn't take his opportunities. That's what Cody was telling him. Oh, and that's what Randy Orton and Cody were telling him at the lead up to WrestleMania. Oh, the reason you've never won the world title is because you're not ruthless enough, because you don't take your opportunities when you have to. And Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton did. But as Alan says, Randy Orton is meant to be a heel, so that kind of makes sense. But Cody Rhodes is meant to be a babyface.
Yeah.
So you are right, but I suppose it fits into this overall narrative they keep wanting to tell with Sami Zayn that he hasn't got it. But the thing that makes I'm a bit confused at is that Zayn's already made the heel turn. He already made the heel turn in his feud with Trick Williams, right? He's already a heel. So
who?
You know who?
What, Lemon Pepper Steppers?
Yeah, Trick Bloody Williams. Don't get me started. So they've already kind of done the story part where Zayn now has got that. So Zayn now has apparently learned that lesson, and it's turned him into a heel. Apparently, I use the word apparently because I don't think it's been done very well. I still find myself wanting to root for Sami Zayn. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I can't. I find myself wanting to root for him because what he says about Cody is true. Cody gets opportunity after opportunity. Alan, do you remember when Batista got the monthly title shots? We used to complain about that.
Yep.
What's the difference? What's the difference between Cody Rhodes, title shot after title shot, title shot after title shot? So, Sami Zayn, Com, you said something in a group chat about Sami Zayn. So, what did you want to say? I know you're not happy like me.
No,
you aren't happy about what they're doing.
I'm not. I really want them to stop burying Cody Rhodes, stop burying Sami Zayn. That they are killing that guy's career. He came in and he was this big thing. He was fresh. Everyone liked him. People still did like him up until recently, but they are literally burying him every single match.
Why?
I don't. I wish I knew the answer. I really do. And then the fact that, he might have done his heel turn, whatever. But they made him look even weaker by making him walk away from that situation. He's realized.
Should he have joined Gunther in the beatdown? Do you think?
Well, either join Peter in the either join in the beatdown, or try and stop Gunter and put up a fight to make your character look strong. Instead, he looks at him, looks like he's going to do something, then goes, now, in fact, I'm probably going to... It looks like he's like thinking, I'm going to get my ass kicked, so I'm going to go out and walk away. It's pathetic. They are killing the Sami Zayn character. Because how many times, how many times, has somebody been in that situation and Sami Zayn has come out and helped?
Yeah. He's literally helped. You got to remember that when Cody Rhodes first fought Roman Reigns, not the year he won it, but the year before that, he was all best mates with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So he's been coming to Cody. He's been kind of one of Cody's kind of wingmen, if you want to use that word, for about 3 or 4 years now. Ever since Zayn turned babyface during the Bloodline stuff, he's more or less been Cody Rhodes' mate. So that's more or less 3 years now, nearly 4. And I agree with you 100%. I think many years from now, no matter what happens to Sami Zayn, I'm not convinced now Zayn will get that world title. I thought there was a chance of it as a babyface. I thought there was a chance that next WrestleMania at Saudi, that would be the kind of the time to do it. And even though I thought it would be a Rey Mysterio reign, so like a short-lived transitional champion kind of reign. He's not, Sami Zayn's never going to be given the ball. They will never give the ball to him and let him run with it as a top guy. They'll never do that. So I thought the best hope was like you might get a quick title reign, like a Rey Mysterio kind of title reign. He wins it. He's the underdog champion, like we just seen with Darby Allin, and it will last a month, and then he'll drop it. And I thought there was a chance of next WrestleMania at Saudi because of the home Saudi crowd. I thought that would be the time. I can't see how that can happen now. They have completely taken him in the opposite direction. So
it's pathetic. What they're doing with him is pathetic. Like I said in the last one that we're on, let him go. Let him go away back to wherever he wants to go. Let him become El Generico again, because that was one of his best times that I have seen him wrestling. And let him actually go and wrestle, because what they're doing with him right now is a disgrace.
Do you think that when Sami Zayn retires, let's say 10 years from now, right? That's just an estimate, I guess, in my part, 5 to 10 years. When Sami Zayn retires, we're all going to be looking back and saying, in Montreal, he should have beaten Roman Reigns for the title, even if he dropped it back to him the next month, right? That was the time that he has never been. He was one of the most popular guys, if not the most popular guy on the roster for that short amount of time. After he turned on Roman and he helped Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble, for those 2 months leading up to WrestleMania, he was arguably more popular than Cody Rhodes during that period. And he goes to Montreal, his hometown in Canada, and he doesn't win. I think that, like I say, 5 or 10 years from now, people will look back and say that was the wrong result, because he never got back there again. He never got back there again. Not once.
He's never going to get there. I think we have to realize he's never going to. Clearly, somebody has made the decision, whether it's Triple H or whoever else is part of the creative team. They have decided that Sami Zayn is now a character they're going to use as a filler for people to beat. He is now a jobber.
Yeah, he's that kind of gatekeeper role, isn't he? That's the term to use. He's like they'll throw him to their new younger, feed him, and then Zayn will report back to them like, oh, if you can't have a good match with Sami Zayn, a bit like Ziggler. That's what Ziggler became. Ziggler became the guy who works with all the guys, and then Ziggler kind of will come back to management and say, yeah, this guy's got it. Yeah, this guy's got potential. And if you can't have a good match with Dolph Ziggler, for example, right, then there's something wrong with you. So I think Sami Zayn is more or less taking that role. A little bit like I think Finn Balor's got a little bit of that role on Raw. So I think those two are in a very similar trajectory. I mean, Finn Balor, okay, he did actually win the world title for like 24 hours. So, but if you look at their career trajectory, it's quite similar. They've never really sniffed ever so fleeting in the main event, but they've never been that main guy. Alan, anything else to say? I mean, do you have opinions? I know Sami Zayn's probably not one of your favorites. Me and Com, I think maybe you like him a bit more than you. Any thoughts at all before we go to Raw?
No, I think. Well, personally, I think he's not the he's not the new toy anymore. That's why he's probably been, cast aside, much like Finn Balor. There's other new guys on the roster now. I mean, his best days are behind him. But again, that's a lot of them on the WWE roster these days. But, he's a good wrestler. I do enjoy him. See where he goes, I guess.
Yeah.
It is a shame because I do think as a underdog fiery babyface, that kind of character, the three people I think who are one of them's just recently retired, so I will include him, but I probably shouldn't. The three people who can play this babyface underdog role better than anyone else is Daniel Bryan, who proved that he could during his Yes Movement days. He probably did it the best. Johnny Gargano in NXT, Alan, I think you might back me up. He was a great underdog babyface during his peak in NXT under Triple H. And Sami Zayn is also an amazing in that particular role. So any other role that he does, even though he's a fine heel, he's good at most things he does. But I just think that he is the best at that role. And if you've taken him at that role, you're not utilizing him for his full potential. And this heel term, Coleman Allen, don't tell me this heel term is planned. No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't planned. They never planned. They never wanted to turn him heel. They felt the crowd did turn on him, but I don't think this was ever the plan. I'm not sure what the plan was, but I don't think the plan was, we're going to feed Sami Zayn to Drew McIntyre in front of Saudi, and then after he loses, we're going to turn him heel. I think what happened was, just my opinion, the reaction he got in Saudi, because nobody believed he was going to beat Drew, because the booking was too predictable. That's not Sami Zayn's fault. But the booking was too predictable. Everybody knew that Sami Zayn had no chance. So the crowd didn't care. And the byproduct is because the crowd didn't care in his hometown for that one, they thought to themselves, oh shit. Oh shit. We can't do what we can't put him in the main event next year. The crowd won't care. So what do we do with him? Well, look, we'll start turning him into this whiny kind of baby face. We'll turn him into this whiny baby face, and then we'll turn him heel. We'll start feuding him with some of the young guys. So what killed Sami Zayn? The match against Drew McIntyre in Saudi killed Sami Zayn.
You're spot on. And I mean, before we go to Raw, this happens in Raw as well, so it kind of segues a little bit into it, I suppose. How many interferences do we need in one show? Like, really? The amount of interferences. I mean, we've got Solo Sikoa being a Wish Roman Reigns, over on SmackDown. We've got Trick Williams winning because somebody interferes, and then Carmelo does whatever he does backstage. Jade Cargill, I don't know why she's still here, if I'm honest. But they're getting involved in stuff that they don't need to get involved in. Gunther's getting involved in matches he doesn't need to get involved in. Then obviously they bring out Royce or whatever his name is, to try and stop this beatdown on. It's like, how really is that all we have now? Is let's have a bit of a match, but then let's get somebody involved that's got nothing to do with a match, just so we've got a little bit of a storyline because we actually can't think creatively for ourselves.
It just seems lazy. It's just lazy. It's safe, lazy booking. There's no excitement on SmackDown. I mean, there's not much on Raw either. But on SmackDown, does anything of importance happen on that show? Like we all admit that we barely ever watch it, right? We certainly never watch it live. I think we all might watch the highlights, and then we all might, if there is an important segment, which is so rare, we might then go onto YouTube, which you can easily do, and then just watch the segment, watch the 5-minute segment. The WWE, they post all the segments an hour after the show anyway. That's what you do. So if there's a segment that you might have a small interest in, you then go and watch that segment. But does anything of any relevance happen on SmackDown?
Yeah, it ends.
It ends. The credits roll.
Yeah, that's it.
Is executive producer Paul Levesque. That's the only thing that matters. Okay, let's go to Raw if we have to. Right then, Raw. Same question, I guess. Alan, do you want to go first? Any highlights on Raw for you?
Any highlights on Raw? So what happens? Obafemi says he's going to kill Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Penta beat discount Kofi Kingston, which was quite fun.
The young'un, Alan, your favourite?
Yeah, I don't know. What's youngin? What is it? What is that? What does it mean?
For people much younger than, much younger than even Com. So
he's
way
youngin.
much younger. Yeah.
He's younging. Okay,
youngin.
He's getting Mexican destroyed. That's what it was, and I enjoyed that. And watching him getting pinned, so that was fun. Logan Paul got injured, so there you go. The vision continues.
Oh dear.
The vision to A&E continues.
Wow.
Oh.
He's torn a tricep, is it? Torn a tricep, and he's out for several months. So he's on the shelf with Bronson Reed, who apparently is close to coming back himself. So we're getting one back, we're losing one. It's Austin Theory, you're next.
They might as well, since they love doing this stuff with Danhausen, they might as well, storyline-wise, just have it that Danhausen cursed the Vision without telling anyone. Just do it. Make that you might as well make that a storyline, and just scrap the Vision gimmick, and then just have it to get any kind of comical value, because that's all you're going to get from it now. Have Danhausen come out later on in a month or so, say, "Oh yeah, before I joined the WWE, I cursed the Vision because of my friend CM Punk, because he hates Seth Rollins. So I cursed." Yeah, just do that. Here you go. I just wrote the storyline for you. I'm friends with CM Punk. He told me to curse the Vision because he hates Seth Rollins. I did. That's it. That's the story over. And then just don't mention the Vision again.
All they got to do is film something with him. And said, "I filmed this before I entered WWE." Obviously, they didn't. And it says opposed to the Vision, and he says, "You are cursed," and he curses them all. There you go.
That's the value that's left in the Vision. You might as well get a cheap little comedy segment out of it now. There's nothing else to get from that group. It's done. They're done. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. Get Braun Breaker away from them, because he's the only one I think is going to probably make it long term anyway. Get him away from them. If you want to take Heyman and Breaker and just have those two go off by themselves, and then Heyman can manage Breaker like he did Brock, fine, do that then. Do that if you want. But the Vision needs to just... I don't even know what they are. What is the Vision other than injured? What is why are they together? What is the unity? You know, I understand what it was.
It's a vision.
A vision of what?
They're meant to be like the youngin' lot, aren't they? Young and up and coming guys. Spearheaded by Seth Rollins, who he's trying to shape the future. That's what I took from him anyway. But he got injured, and now he's showing them the way. She called himself the Mandalorian, shouldn't he? Really, this is the way.
This is the way. Alan, anything else then? I mean, okay, so that's anything else on the show.
Apparently, the King of the Ring's starting next week.
Yeah.
LA Shout announced that, didn't it?
It's the King of the Ring. Not that holds any water anymore. They bring back the good old 1993 formula King of the Ring. You get preliminary qualifying matches on the shows leading up to it, and then you'll get the tournament actually on the show, not just the final. Lazy WWE.
Yeah, they used to have to start with, they had the whole tournament. As Alan said, there was qualifying matches, and then it was a round of 16. It was 16, wasn't it? Was it 16? Yeah, it was a round of 16.
16, and then the final 8 go to the pay-per-view,
yeah.
Sorry, PLE, but it was a pay-per-view back then. Yeah. God damn it.
And now you only get the finals. So
yeah, lazy. Because that way it adds to the drama that such and such won his match, but he might be injured from that last encounter or whatever. But no, they're just taking all that drama away from it.
Yeah, I prefer the one night tournaments as well.
Much better.
You can have certain storyline elements, like you've just said. Somebody can get injured or somebody can get beaten down after the match. 1994 King of the Ring, one of my favorites, probably because Owen Hart won it. That was a great show. A very well booked tournament.
Yep. The great commentary.
We won't mention the commentary. That's a whole different show. Hey, Griller, is he dead? Art Donovan. If you don't know what we're talking about, go put in King of the Ring 1994 Art Donovan commentary. You'll giggle for ages. We all did.
After you finish watching us, of course.
After you finish watching us, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And tell him we sent you, and write a comment saying this is ridiculous, because it is. I'm going to fire back a little bit of Com. Com's not going to like this because I know he hates him. I found the segment between LA Knight and it was Jimmy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Intriguing. I won't say much more than intriguing, because that smacks that there is going to be a heel turn. Now, I don't know if it's going to be LA Knight. I think it could be, because they obviously don't want to turn Roman, despite him acting like a complete heel. They obviously don't want to turn him. They want the Bloodline to be baby faces, even though they're not. So I think it could be LA Knight who turns. Would that make you feel any differently about him as if he does turn heel?
No, I cannot stand LA Knight. He is a hybrid fucking Temu version of The Rock and Stone Cold. That is what he is. And guess what? When he turns heel, he's still going to be that same boring hybrid Timu version. I hate him. Honestly, I don't hate wrestlers.
Why though? I'm sure you never used to. So I'm not saying you thought he was amazing, but the hatred has grown. Why has it grown?
It's his character. His character. He comes out. He's like, "Hello, Nike here." Yeah, as if he's somebody. It's like, mate, you're a fucking nobody. That is what you are. You aren't at the epaulet. You're not at the echelons of The Rock and Stone Cold and all these other greats. You are not the guy. You are never going to be the guy. So stop trying so pissing hard to be the guy that everyone loves. Look, Jey Uso bloody had more hype than you not so long ago. And he's been in WWE for years in the tag team. You're just not that guy. And he's always sticking his nose into things that story-wise, it's like, why are you even getting involved in stuff? And he's got that deep into this bloody bloodline story plot that's been going on for millennia now. Like they can't get him out of it, and he got involved in the Vision as well because he had to get involved in the Vision. LA Knight is a subpar wrestler.
If they do turn him heel, and I think it looks to me that's the direction. I don't know for sure. If they do turn him heel, and they do I think he's going to win King of the Ring? There's a chance if he turns heel, but that means it's him versus Roman. That doesn't scream a big enough match for a SummerSlam night 1 or night 2, whichever night. That doesn't scream like a SummerSlam main event to me, LA Knight versus Roman Reigns, but it was hinted at.
I'll skip it. I won't even watch it. I'll watch up until that match, and I'll just go to bed.
I love the hatred. Alan, your thoughts on LA Knight? You hate him? I don't think you hate him as much as Com. I'm in the middle with him. I understand what Com's saying, but I don't hate him as much as Com. But what about you?
I'm indifferent about him. He's like the go-to guy, isn't he, for merchandising? Step into a Slim Jim. Yeah. That's all I get from LA Knight. He's the Slim Jim guy. He should come out wearing Slim Jim. Actually, he does, doesn't he? He does come out wearing Slim Jim colors most of the time.
He does.
There you go.
What is it? Red and gold
yellow.
He wears.
Yeah.
Red and yellow. Guess who used to wear red and yellow? Hulk Hogan. Look how big he was. Oh, LA Knight's the new Hulk Hogan, everybody. Quick, everyone buy his merch. He's a new Hulk Hogan. Fuck off. Seriously.
The reason I found what he said intriguing is because he was more or less saying what I've been saying on this show about how Roman Reigns is acting like a douchebag, how the Usos are acting like douchebags. And he's pointing this out. And he's still a babyface as of writing. I think it will end up in the heel turn. But again, am I meant to boo him character-wise, taking the fact that if I like the wrestler or not, but character-wise, am I meant to boo him when what he's doing is pointing out everything I already think about the Usos and Roman Reigns, how they are villains? He's just pointing out how they're coming across. So storyline-wise, I can't be rooting against LA Knight because he's saying exactly how I feel regarding them. They're not babyfaces, they're heels. So that's why I'm intrigued by it, because it's just like, hold on, did you just watch last week's show or something? Because that's what you said is more or less what I said about them, how they're coming across. So they've now got one of their, as of right now, still babyfaces coming out on the show and calling out the Usos and calling out Roman Reigns and saying these things, which is kind of the truth. You've gone back to being Roman's yes men. You're acting like thugs. 3-on-1 to Jacob Fatu, which is literally what we were saying. Yeah. He's just pointing this stuff out. So it's like, so if he ends up being the heel, again, it's more of this backwards booking that I was saying about. It's more of this backwards booking. And this backwards booking has always seemed to be revolved around the fucking bloodline. But it's logic just goes out of the window when the bloodline are involved when it comes to characters.
Of course it does. But the issue is, right, with LA Knight being a heel, he has already been a heel. We've already said it in WWE. He was a heel at NXT in 2021.
Yeah.
He was a cocky, arrogant, insulted fans. You know, he held that $1 million championship. Yeah. He was also a real with Max Dupree for a bit. You know, he was smug talent agent style kind of character. So even when he's heel, his character doesn't change. He's still exactly how he is now, because now he's arrogant and cocky.
Yeah.
The only thing it doesn't do is insult fans.
Yeah, the character won't change that much. You are right. His character won't change that much.
You know what I mean? If I want a heel, like if I want a good character, yeah. Let's say I like LA Knight as this guy, this arrogant, cocky kind of, person that he is, because he's overly all the fans and that. And then he turns a heel. I want to see a darker, more aggressive side, not the same character, but now I'm gonna do bad things like poke you in the eye or give you a low blow or maybe hit you with a chair. It's the same character. And I don't think LA Knight is capable of being more than one-dimensional. I don't think he's able to do two-dimensional characters.
Do you think he's become... And he was like this in TNA as well when he was Eli Drake. Do you think he's become too catchphrase reliant, so that he has to no matter what he does, no matter if he's heel or babyface, he's got to get his catchphrases in? Do you think? I think he's become too reliant on it. I know it pops the crowd. We all know the crowd like to sing along. We know that, and the crowds are like this. So it's not like the crowds don't respond, because they do. They normally do join in with his they do. But he's become, for me, this is my biggest criticism of him. He's become too much about the catchphrase.
Yeah, but that's what he is. He's the best thing I can say about LA Knight, and this is me being nice to LA Knight. And I don't, LA Knight, if you're listening, listen very carefully, because this is the nicest thing I'm ever going to say about you.
Let me talk to you. Say it, Con. Go on.
Yeah. Let me talk to you, right? LA Knight would have been successful in the Attitude Era. Because that's what the Attitude Era was. It was all the big showmanship, the catchphrases. The Rock had, just bring it. Stone Cold, Stone Cold says. Everyone had a catchphrase in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, the fans like singing and everything, but that proves nothing, because when Seth Rollins turned heel, people still sang his song. When Roman Reigns was heel, people were still putting the finger up, acknowledging. It means nothing. Just because somebody likes the song and wants to go, yeah, when he does it, probably the worst catchphrase in the world, might add. Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah, is a catchphrase. Get a grip, man.
Anything else, guys, on Raw? Did we see it? I mean, the main event.
What we got?
More.
There's a shitty pinfall that ended the Rollins Montez Ford match.
Yeah,
I didn't see the end of that match. I didn't see the end of that. What was that? Was that another botch finish then?
It wasn't exactly botched. It just didn't look very thrilling.
He kind of. There were a little bit of a thing where Rollins ends up, stomping the guy, and then they're both on the floor, and Rollins kind of just flops his arm out on top of him, and that was it.
Yeah, all four shoulders are down, and Rollins just puts a hand over Montez Ford's sort of like torso and goes, "That's it," and pins him.
Yeah, I'm
surprised. I thought they were trying to build something like longer term rather than just having it on Raw. I thought that maybe that they were going to maybe have Ford. Maybe they've been talking about this for years. Ford going on singles and being a big single star. So I thought maybe they were going to maybe come up with a long term storyline. But it seems like it was a 1 week, 2 week storyline. I mean, if Rollins just beat him, then
Rollins is washed. Genuinely, I know that sounds harsh, but he looks tired. Like, you can see it in his matches.
Too many injuries.
This is what I mean. You can see it in his matches. He's not the Seth Rollins we all knew anymore. He can barely do anything that he used to do anymore without hurting himself. I think it's time he, see out the year, sure, whatever, go out at WrestleMania, but I think it's time for him to take off his boots and leave them in the ring.
Agreed. Sooner the better.
I don't think he's the premier worker. I mean, I'm not exactly sure that could be a conversation for another time. But he probably was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I think there is an argument to be made that he probably was the best worker they had. Like I say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But whether or not that's the case anymore, I don't think it is. Like I say, I think that could be a subject for another week where we could decide who we think is the best worker currently. Okay, I mean, if there's nothing else you guys want to talk about, we can go on to our little bonus thing.
There's one more thing I want to bring up in regards to Raw. And I'll get your guys' views on this. So,
Okay.
What has made TKO think that we want to see Roman versus Jacob Fatu again after the last match?
That's a good question. Well, Reigns is the only bankable one of the two. I mean, yeah, Jacob's got his little his little catchphrases he does, and the epileptic fit he seems to have as well.
It looks stupid. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that their first match wasn't very good.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep to that match. But guys, there's a extra stipulation. The winner becomes tribal chief.
Wow,
that changes everything.
What I'm going to hate the most about it, I spoke about this last week. They could, if they wanted, and the key word there is if they wanted, and they don't want, but they don't want to. But if they wanted, they could turn Jacob Fatu into, hey, look, he ain't going to, there's only one Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? But I'm talking in that kind of character, that kind of ilk, right? That kind of anti-establishment, main event, generally a baby face who does sometimes break the rules, but does it almost in an endearing way, like an Eddie Guerrero used to, like Steve Austin did, right? So there is an option for them to turn. I think Fatu's got the storyline, as in the real storyline with it going to the jail and I'm not the chosen one, I'm the one who wasn't allowed to come into the Federation, blah 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 blah. The story's there if they want it. They've hinted at it, but I mean if they really want to go into it. But if they really want to go into it, it's at the cost of Roman Reigns, and they will never make that decision. Because Jacob Fatu can't lose. He's going to, but if they wanted to do this, they wanted to really make him, if they really wanted to make him, he beats Roman. He's not going to, because he's going to end up working for the blood. He's going to end up being the new Solo Sikoa. Now, maybe 6 months from now or a year from now, maybe he will turn. But in the short term, at least for the next 6 months, he's going to be with the bloodline. You can already see there's no way out for them, because he's not going to beat Roman. And I hate it because look, CM Punk has a little bit of it. Not so much nowadays because he's old. He's playing a little bit of a different character. But fans will gravitate, especially young blokes, right? We like anti-establishment guys. We don't like you, Cody Rhodes, when you come out in your suits. You're a corporate douchebag. That's not what we want our babyface. We want our babyface to have edge. They need to be aggressive. They need to be brave, with a little bit of edge to them as well. That's what mostly guys want, right? We don't want Cody Rhodes, who's corporate sellout, coming out of his nice suits and being so polite and well-spoken. Steve Austin didn't do any of that. And he's the biggest babyface, more or less, of all time, other than perhaps Hulk Hogan. So they don't. So Roman Reigns is corporate as well. All the baby faces are corporate. So when I see the opportunity to turn something like Jacob Fatu into that next kind of anti-establishment baby face, which I know would that still loads of us want to generally live vicariously through, which is the key thing there, but they won't do it because they will not sacrifice him for Roman Reigns. It frustrates me because I know I've got to sit here and pull up with another Roman Reigns spear 1, 2, 3, and then Jacob Fatu's going to say, "I acknowledge you." And he'll join the bloodline. And it's such a waste. It frustrates me as a wrestling fan. Incredibly. Sorry.
I 100% no, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Like, this is the perfect time to kill, as such, the bloodline. And put the belt on Fatu. Make him, like you said, this anti-establishment guy who is out there to cause havoc, won't listen to what the people backstage are telling him to do, all this kind of stuff. Yep. But they won't do it because Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, and clearly he's very good at doing sexual favors or something for somebody backstage.
How about this quickly as a booking scenario? Usos turn on Roman. Jacob Fatu wins the belt. Usos turn on Roman. Roman remains a babyface, as they seem to want to keep. But the Usos do turn heel with Jacob. New bloodline, Jacob is the leader. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it wouldn't be an impossibility. It's unlikely in my mind, but the story, they could tell that story if the ingredients are there to tell that story if they desire to.
Yeah, and I think it would be a good story. I do think it would be a good story to do that, but with the way that they're booking things and the storylines and stuff, the way things are going, that's just not going to happen.
No.
They're going to do the predictable, easy cop-out route, which is TKO's MO, as Kuva says in the chat. TKO, they do play it safe. And playing it safe is, like we said, Roman Reigns, spear, maybe 2 spears, but it's going to be a spear, 1, 2, 3. And then Jacob's going to acknowledge him, and Jacob will join the bloodline, and then he'll move back down to where he was before, as being the enforcer of the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
This time there'll be 4 of them as baby faces, because the more of them you add, the more baby face they appear, right? Apparently,
yeah.
Alan, anything you want to add before we go to our last little segment?
No, not really. Short
and sweet.
I just. No, I don't want to see Bloodline 2. I've already seen Bloodline 2.0. I don't want to see Bloodline 3.0. I was sick of the Bloodline when Roman was there. I hated the MFTs. I'm happy half of them are gone, and I don't want to see this anymore. I really don't want to see this anymore.
Right, let's ever so quickly, because I've forgotten about this. We do need to quickly predict the pay-per-view. There is a pay-per-view this weekend. The 5 matches. Any of these matches we care about? Do we care about any of these matches? And be honest, do you care about Overfemi versus Lesnar? Do you care?
No.
Alan?
Marginally, but no. Ultimately, I've seen a match already. I mean, they should rename this pay-per-view Rematch in Italy.
Do you think? I think Brock beats him via shenanigans. He ain't beating him fairly. I think it's going to be a 3-match feud. This is match 2, so Brock's got to win this one. I think he cheats maybe with a bit of Heyman help. He'll win, but it will not be clean, and that sets up the 3rd match.
Which is a shame. Someone at Brock's caliber shouldn't need to cheat.
Yeah, but that's why they do it, because it then technically means that Brock Lesnar, Obafemi is so good that even Brock Lesnar has to cheat to beat him, because he's just that good. It's all to do to get him over, isn't it? Let's be honest. Com, any thoughts? Do you think Lesnar beats him or?
No, I don't at all. I think Obafemi wins. They're putting too much stock into Obafemi. The way that he destroyed Brock Lesnar in the previous match, for him then to lose to Brock Lesnar makes 0 sense.
I think they might be making a mistake long term if they continue. We'll see. The crowds are cheering him for now. But if they push somebody too much, people will push back. They need to be very careful. People don't really like being told who to cheer for. Some of them will fall in line, because there is a remarkable amount of them that are just sheep and will just cheer, will just do whatever they're told. But there's also a portion of the audience, the more rebellious ones of us, who will push back against someone being shoved down their throats. We did it with John Cena. We did it with Roman Reigns. Why do you think Roman Reigns didn't succeed as a babyface? Because there was too many of us, like myself, pushing back against it, saying, no, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's not. You might have chosen him, but we didn't. They need to be careful. So I'll say. Anything else on the pay-per-view we care about? Do we care about the women's title matches? That bitch, as Alan likes to say. Do we care about Jade versus Rhea? She ain't winning. She ain't beating.
No, she ain't winning either.
No. If Jade Cargill gets that belt, then I'm just gonna boycott. I'm just gonna start watching indie wrestling.
You're gonna watch AEW. Go on.
No, I won't even watch that crock of shit. I'd actually go watch like 1PW or something like that.
Wow. House of Glory, you know who they are. Okay. Right. Well, we already discussed Reigns versus Jacob and what we think might happen there. I think we all think it's just going to be a spear 1, 2, 3. Any other matches I'm forgetting? I think I am forgetting a match. Oh my!
We got Cody versus Gunther.
Of course. Quickly on Cody. It's a difficult one booking wise, because Gunther's still got, because Gunther's not lost since the AJ and the Cena retirements, right? So if you want to think of it this way, even though I think they've done a shit job of booking Gunther since the AJ match, since Royal Rumble, I think they've done a bad job of booking him in general. He's been very directionless. He still technically is carrying the heat. I'm being careful with the words I say, because I'm not sure there's that much of it left. Because people have short memories. Do we even care that he retired? I mean, I didn't care that. I was cheering when he did retire John Cena. But do people still care 5 or 6 months later that he retired John Cena? John Cena's been on every pay-per-view already anyway, since then, talking. So
he's not retired, is it?
Well, exactly. It's like it's barely a retire. It's like if we'd not seen him since, it'd be like, oh no, I miss John Cena. But Cena's been on every pay-per-view since. So he's not really gone that much, really. He just doesn't get in the ring anymore. But he's still coming out. People are still cheering him and singing his songs or whatever. So it's like, did we really miss you, mate? You've not really gone to miss you. So the heat that Gunter's carrying, what's left of it? Can they have him lose to Cody? Is that the person they want to transfer? Think of it of transferring heat. Is that the person who's going to finally slay Gunter then? This new version of Gunter, who Seth Rollins couldn't beat either. So he's been protected. Gunter has. But is that what the end result is? We're just going to feed him to Cody then?
Of course, we're going to feed him to Cody. Cody's like the golden child.
But what's the point? What does that do for anybody?
It doesn't do anything. This is what I mean. They don't care. They literally do not care. They have Cody Rhodes, who's their favorite, and they have Roman Reigns, who is their favorite. Neither one of them are dropping the belt until the next favorite comes in. And I don't think Gunther's that guy. See, I would love Gunther to beat Cody Rhodes because I'm fed up of Cody Rhodes being shoved down our throats every single bloody week as well. And when Gunther had the title previously, I thought he were a fairly decent run. He had, he turned up. The matches were entertaining. The storylines was good. You could see, I can't remember who it was that you were facing. But it was for the title, and Gunther threw everything at this guy, and you could see it on his face. He was telling the story like, what do I have to do? Normally, it's not this hard. What do I have to do? And then eventually, obviously, he won it. But, you don't get that with Cody Rhodes because we all know Cody Rhodes is going to win. When he's got that belt, we're like, well, he's going to have it for the next 7-8 months until he inevitably faces Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns will beat him because something's happened. You know what I mean?
You can bet your backside that Roman Reigns wants his win back from Cody. Well, I don't know when, but when they have their probably last match, I can't. They'll have one more because that'll be the rubber, won't it? Because it's they're one. Technically, they're one apiece at WrestleMania, so that it's not. I doubt it'll be next year. I think they've got different plans, but in the next 3 or 4 years, you are going to get this third Roman Reigns Cody at WrestleMania, and probably Reigns. I imagine Reigns will probably win it, but I'm already bored of it, and I haven't even seen. This is a match that's going to be 3 years, probably 2 or 3 years from now. I reckon I'm already dreading it. Well, that's clashing. It's clashing Italy, as you can tell. None of us are particularly overjoyed about it. I don't think any of us are that overjoyed at the current state of pro wrestling, and I'd say that's not even just a WWE thing. I mean, we don't talk that much about the other promotions that much. AEW, Ring of Honor, etc. We don't talk that much about them. TNA. But I think
watching AAA more.
You watch AAA more. I mean, that's an interesting thing that. Like I say, maybe for another show. Like, what else do we watch? If we do, Alan, do you watch anything else? Really?
I watch a little AAA. I did try watch AEW a little while ago. Didn't know what was going on in AEW.
AEW don't know what's going on in AEW.
With AEW for me, there's a couple of guys I like who I will monitor what they do. I do not follow this promotion as a whole, right? So I can't sit here and tell you all the storylines. I can tell you the storylines of a couple of guys who I follow, of guys that I've liked in the past, or somebody who there's very few, we'll call them, for argument's sake, AEW originals, right? Just we'll use that term, even though most of them came from different independent promotions already. I'm a big MJF fan. I think MJF is amazing for what he does. He's not perfect, but I think he's. We're going to talk about it in a sec. It'll be the last thing we talk about a great all-rounder who's got it all, and he's actually one of the ones I'd say today is quite close to having the total package. I follow what he does, and I've got a soft spot for Christian because Christian was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I really loved Christian much more than Edge. So I always pay a little bit of attention to what he does.
And I met him in real life.
He's meant to be a decent chap. He's
a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah, he's meant to be pretty good, pretty cool from what I've seen.
Met him in a little pub in Doncaster.
Oh, you met him? Oh, really? You met him in a
Yeah,
pub?
yeah. Because he was I in Doncaster used to host the 1PW live shows, so they used to come and tour, and they had big names. AJ Styles were there, Samoa Joe was there, Abyss, a lot of TNA guys were there, and then the Indies, and they bring in certain people. Iron Sheik were there one year, and Christian were there 1 year, and I was sat. It was before I went to watch a football match. I was sat in the pub with my uncle, and I'm obviously having a glass of Coca-Cola at this point because I was too young to be drinking. And he came in to get a bottle of water. I glanced over and thought, he looks familiar. And then just kind of like didn't pay attention. And then he turned around, I saw him. And obviously that little figure does where he puts his hand to, just above his eyes so he can like see the crowd and everything like that.
Yeah.
I did that to him and he kind of did it back to me and then came over and we had a little conversation with each other, and he asking me if I was going to this show tonight. I was like, yeah, I'm going. He went, right, whereabouts are you sat? I'll try and find you, stuff like that. Lovely person.
So that's cool. How old were you, Com? About,
I think I was about 14.
No, that's pretty cool to do that for a kid. No, big up. He's meant to be. If you read between the lines, a lot of people kind of Randy Orton, for example. Randy Orton, who doesn't praise that many people, as always says literally. If he can choose to wrestle one match every night, he'd pick to wrestle Christian. So that's pretty, Right. Okay. So this last thing we're going to do, like I say, I added this part. I'm just curious. I've been, like I do, I tend to get nostalgic sometimes about the old days of pro wrestling. So I'll put on a podcast. Com heard me listening to one of the podcasts already. I'll listen to Jim Cornette podcasts. I even will listen to Kevin Nash's podcast. Is not amazing. But I at least can respect Kevin Nash, not for the great wrestler that he was. I can respect him for the hustle, though, and the fact was he was a massive part of. If you think about it, the storyline that kind of revitalized professional wrestling. Now, WWF will tell you that it was Austin versus Vince. It wasn't. That came after. The storyline that revitalized the wrestling industry was the NWO. 100%. Everything else came after the NWO. Vince McMahon, even Steve Austin, came after the NWO. The NWO revitalized the product, right? The whole product was revitalized by that one gigantic storyline. So it just got me thinking as I was feeling nostalgic. Who do we think is the best all-arounder we can think of? The criteria I got was from a Bret Hart interview I saw, where he had 3 criterias for this. One was your general look. And when I say look, it doesn't mean your attractiveness, though that will help, especially if opposite sex, or even if, homosexuals or, if stuff like that, right? So that stuff is important. It's a TV product, right? And your attractiveness is a factor that they take into account. But also men are menacing. So you can be, if you're 7 foot tall, like The Undertaker or like Sid or like Kevin Nash, right? That's a unique look because not many people are like that, right? But that unique look can also apply to guys like Vader, who wasn't a good-looking guy, wasn't even that tall, but he had this unique look about him that just screamed professional wrestler, right? So that's what we mean by do they have the look for it? Then the promo charisma, right, says for itself, how good a talker they were, but also just their general charisma. Because there's some people I can think of who couldn't cut that great a promo, but they did have a charisma about them when they were in the ring. Someone like Ricky Steamboat, for example, who was a crap promo, but in the ring, he did have a charisma about him because he was so good at playing the kind of valiant babyface playing to the crowd. So that's what we mean by charisma and promo. And the last one, the most simplest one probably, is just how good at in-ring worker they were. Storytelling, technical ability, the execution of moves. How were they a botch machine? How many mistakes did they make? Stuff like that. So it's just a criteria. So these are the criteria we're going with. So who wants to start? I want a name, but I want you to back up why you feel that way. Who wants to? It could be from any generation. Doesn't matter. It could be 80s, 90s. It could be somebody who's wrestling today. That stuff doesn't matter to me. Who do we think is the best all-rounder for that criteria? And one more thing, it doesn't matter to me if they became a main eventer or not. That stuff is less important to me.
Well, I can give you one very easily.
Who are you going with? I have an idea. Before you say it, Alan, I have an idea who I think you might say, but I want to know.
Okay. I'm going to go with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
I thought you'd say that. Okay.
Ted had it all. He could cut a promo. He could wrestle. He had a great look about him. He always came out in the the sparkling suits with the dollar signs on. He generated heat from the crowd so easily using this, I'm richer than you kind of character. The fact he had Virgil as his bodyguard, who always had like money on him as well. He would do these. He would get the fan to do embarrassing things. Okay, they were plants, but whatever. To try and win some money from him, which obviously he would then cut that short. So for me, Ted had it all. He rarely botched a move. Ted took great bumps, as we've seen. The man was like elastic. He takes anything and he bumps really, really well. He used to hit the pile driver perfectly. His power slam was perfect. That snap suplex he used to do. Amazing stuff.
What rating would you give him, Alan? Those 3 criteria, because I look at Ted and I'd say to you, in my mind, I would give Ted a 9 out of 10 as a wrestler. He's extremely.
Yeah,
I don't think he was ever the best of the best, but he was ever so slightly second run. But still an incredible technician. You're right. He didn't botch many. He could wrestle a bunch for the styles. He was a ring general as well. He took command of a lot of matches as well. He can carry a lot of guys less talented than him to good matches. So I'd give him a 9 as a wrestler. I'd give him a promo. I'd give him a 9 as well, because he was an incredibly good promo, especially the character. I will say, when he wasn't the $1 Million Man character. So
don't say it.
I'm not going to mention the picture we found incredibly funny when we saw him wrestling Hogan. I mean, just as before he got the character, I would say not as much, but it's a learning process. He became the character, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that maybe before his WWE run, maybe I wouldn't give him a promo score of that 5. But we're going on the wrestler that they became, right? Them at their peak. So I would say a 9 out of 10 for the promo. I would say the look is his weakness.
The look wasn't. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I do agree.
He, though not a small man, in wrestling terms, not the biggest guy. Not the prettiest guy either, right? Had a very good wardrobe, but that's not exactly the same thing. Not the prettiest guy either. And also not muscular. He wasn't fat, but he had a CM Punk kind of physique, didn't he?
Yeah, really? Of course. Yeah. He wasn't ripped or anything. He
wasn't on the roids or anything, right? So he was probably smart. DiBiase was never probably on the roids, right? But he never had that physique. So it all depends how much value you want to put in it. So I would not give him. I think the weakness of him is his look. I'd probably give him a 7 out of 10. Yeah, that's my rating. What do you, Com? How would you rate?
Yeah, go on.
Go on, Alan.
Yeah, no, I think 7 out of 10. I mean, I like Ted DiBiase. I liked his character. The arrogance he had, coming out laughing at people. All money and everything. Great character, but yeah, I'd probably say 7 out of 10.
So overall, what would you say his rating is in Com? I've given him a 7 out of 10 for his look. I think overall, I'd give Ted probably an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think 8.5 if we can do halves.
Yeah, I've definitely go with a half. Yeah, definitely 8.5.
Alan, would you say me and Com are being a bit harsh on him? I mean, if you think he's one of the best ever, would you say not a 9 then for you?
No. No one's perfect. Okay, a 9's not perfect, obviously, but no, 8.5. I think it's a decent score. I think that puts him in the upper echelon of great characters.
Oh, he's definitely up there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Com, who have you got for us? I'm not sure who you're going to choose. Who you got for us?
Mate, mine is so left wing. So left wing. So I've obviously looked at your criteria and looked at a couple of different ones as well, such as like innovation, influence, longevity. And I've gone with Jushin Thunder Liger.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That's who I've gone with. I mean, in ring, oh
yeah.
Before him, light wrestlers were just treated as like novelty acts, weren't they? But he seriously helped change that division like massively. He was a high flyer, he was a technical wrestler, hard hitting strikes, storytelling, character philosophy, psychology. He had it all. He helped pave the way for people like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Brian Pillman, Benoit, Bryan Danielson. The list goes on and on and on. And he had this look that nobody really had before. They obviously like the mask and the attire and everything like that.
Superhero look, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably my all-time favorite wrestler. I absolutely love Julian Fundelaga, and I go back and watch some of his matches. The only thing that ever let him down, in my personal opinion, was his promo. He wasn't fantastic at promos. You know, he wasn't. But I mean, I think that was probably his weakest, because in-ring ability and his presentation, and everything, and his character work, and I think it's outstanding.
I think you're spot on. I think for the look, he had a very unique look. Yeah. He wasn't a big guy, but he didn't need to be. It's not all about size. Size, just because you're big doesn't mean you've got a good look, right? But his unique look, which it was, especially at the time, right? 100% wrestling ability. I don't think there's any question. I remember seeing Justin Liger in 1992 against Brian Pillman at Super Bowl II. That was my first introduction to Justin Thunder Liger. I was about 12 years old when I saw that, and I was absolutely blown away. The only person at the time I think was even close to him was someone like an Owen Hart, who had just made his debut in the WWF at the time and was doing these kind of similar kind of style at the time. This is before I started watching Japan. If anything, I started watching Japan because of Justin Liger, when he came over to WCW in like 92 and traded the light heavyweight title with Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
So I can't argue. The promo, I've never heard him cut a promo.
He's not great. Honestly, as a promo, it is the weakest part of it, compared to obviously like some of the people like Ted DiBiase. You know, is not as strong as that. But you know, that probably came. But I think a lot of his stuff works through his body language and stuff like that, rather than his actual cutting a promo out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can go back and watch his matches, and I'm still entertained. He very rarely put on a bad match.
That is I definitely wouldn't have come up with that one as your choice, Com. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Yeah, I do think I haven't heard the promo, but I don't remember him. It could be because of I don't know what his English is like. I'm assuming at least when he came over and he was wrestling in America, like I say, during WCW, I'm assuming if he did speak English, he probably had very limited vocabulary. So that's probably why they never had him say a word.
I think his English is probably on the same par as what Oscar isn't. You know what I mean? Like the broken English.
Yeah. Which is always a challenge. Of course it is, which is nothing you can do about it. It's always going to be a challenge. So my rating, Com, I'll give my rating and then Alan can give his. I think wrestling-wise, I would give him a 9, maybe a 9.5 if we are going to do points, because he really was a trendsetter. Him and Muta were the two guys I always looked at from Japan, at least in the early 90s, being completely amazing. It was always Liger and Muta. It was always Liger and Muta for me. The look I'll give an 8.5. I think he's got a unique look. I do think maybe in America, I don't know if it translated as well in America, but I do know in Japan, I remember his music as well in Japan. He had all this unique music and all this unique stuff, which was just like amazing. I'd probably give him an 8.5, and the promo I will give him probably I've got to probably give him 5 or 6 because I just haven't heard him cut a promo. So I'm actually difficult for me to rate the promo. Alan, I doubt you've heard him cut a promo either, Alan. Do you remember Liger from WCW? Al?
Sorry. Technical issue. I've never seen a promo from him. So yeah, I can't really give probably a 5 on that. His look is amazing. Never seen anything like it in professional wrestling ever. The full body suit, the mask with the horns, the teeth. That has got to be like a 9.5.
Yeah.
I'll take it a point off because his look's quite restrictive. So I'm taking a 0.5 off. So so 9.5 for that. In ring, 9. Solid 9. And I've just found out, he actually competed for the old WWF on April 13th, 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Who did he wrestle?
He wrestled Akira Nagami at a wrestling summit. And it was actually co-produced by New Japan.
Oh, so it was a co-promotion with WF. Okay, fair enough. He also, if we remember, he made one NXT appearance against Tyler Breeze. Remember that?
Yeah, 2015. Yeah.
Which was really weird, wasn't it?
NXT Takeover.
So technically, he did wrestle for the. He did. He did technically wrestle.
It's like the WWE version of Forbidden Door, if you like.
Yeah. Overall, I'll give Liger a rating. I'll give him a 9. I will give him a 9.
Nine's fair. Nine's fair.
So that leaves myself. I had a short list of 3, and I've got to narrow it down. I'll say my short list, and I won't go into all of them. But the short list I was banging around was Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, and I think the person I'm going to have to give it to is probably Steve Austin. What's criminal about Steve Austin is he was an amazing technician before he became the biggest star. When he became the biggest star was more or less the same night he got the career-shortening injury to his neck, which meant he had to change his wrestling style and become a brawler. Up to that point, Austin had such a unique way of wrestling. He could do absolutely everything. I remember Steve Austin's matches with Ricky Steamboat in WCW, where he had these classic matches with Steamboat over the US title. I remember his matches with Brian Pillman in a Hollywood Blondes against Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas, and the matches they had. I remember his stuff in the Dangerous Alliance when he was stunning Steve Austin. I remember his matches against Barry Windham over the TV title. And this is kind of before Austin started speaking, because he had Paul Heyman as his manager in the Dangerous Alliance. And then after that, he had Colonel Robert Parker as his manager in WCW. So Austin actually didn't have that much time to really talk. So you wouldn't know, particularly if he was a particularly good promo. You'd get the occasional line out of him, but not that much. It wasn't until they let him more or less say what he wanted to a large degree, if you believe the stories. Because even Vince McMahon brought in Steve Austin, what did he do to him? He made him the ringmaster. He gave Ted DiBiase, was Austin's manager when he came into the WWF. So nobody really knew the promo ability. They knew that he was an amazingly great wrestler who had a unique style. They didn't know that he was arguably one of the best promos of all time. So I look at him as somebody I followed from his, like I say, I first saw him in early 91 when he debuted in WCW, because I was watching WCW at the time on ITV. It was on like 1 a.m. For 1 hour at 1 a.m. That's the slot the WCW had in 1991 or 1992. So I've been following him his whole career. And I'll be honest, I never thought he'd become... I never thought he'd become the star he became, because I didn't see the promo in him. I just saw everything else. I didn't see the promo. What lets him down the most, again, is probably the look, because though he's quite a muscular dude, he wasn't super bodybuilder guy, right? He's quite a tall guy, but he's not that tall, right? He's for a wrestler, he's not that tall or big. To me and you, he's a tower over us. But to most wrestlers, he wasn't that big. And you could say he got his biggest career. He got the biggest time in his career. The dude came out with black trunks and black boots. So he didn't have that much finesse either. So I would say that the look part probably lets him down the most. But for me, his promo is probably a 10, because I don't think there's many. It's such a small list I can think are even in his ballpark when it comes to his promo ability. Very few can command an audience, and also ad-lib as well, which, as I'm sure Con will say, as a wrestler, you have to be able to ad-lib, because stuff's going to go wrong or the crowd's going to respond in a certain way. And then you've got to quickly think on your feet to try and get the crowd back on side, or to turn, or to regain the crowd to follow the storyline. If it's a serious segment, you need to be able to get the crowd back on your side. And Austin, other than maybe like a Hulk Hogan or maybe than a Rock, and they're the only ones who I can even think about in the same ballpark, who maybe have that ability when it comes to crowd manipulation. So I think Austin was a 10 out of 10 a promo. I think wrestling-wise, he's probably a 9 out of 10, because he had a unique style. He could brawl when he wanted to brawl, and he could technically wrestle. And that's the part that really pisses me off. Just the timing just wasn't there. Because he got injured, he had to just become a brawler. So if people go back and they watch Austin in like 1999, which is probably arguably his biggest year, they're going to say, oh, he's a pretty good brawler. But they forget about all the technical classics he had before, because unfortunately he got injured. So he was never able to be that all-rounder he probably could have been. So it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, because it just never lined up for him. I can just imagine he could have become even a bigger star if that's possible, because he could have put on technical masterclasses. We all remember his match with Bret Hart before. Again, this is before the injury. We remember the match against Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, regarded as one of the best matches of all time. And Bret Hart played a massive role in that. I'm not saying it's Austin. Bret Hart played a massive role in that. So Austin could do absolutely everything, and was a massive promo, and was pretty much the biggest star in all of wrestling. So even though Shawn Michaels, I think, had everything as well, arguably Shawn Michaels had a better look. Randy Savage, again, his look was the weakest part of him. He had the bananas. He had the fancy outfits and stuff like that. But Savage had silly hair. Alan, what did you used to call him? Frizzy hair Savage. He had static hair. That's it. He had he didn't have the look really. He had charisma, yes. Wrestling ability, yes. So I'm going with Steve Austin. I would rate Austin. I'll give him a 10 out of 10 for promo. I don't think there's many better. Maybe if there is, it's 1 or 2 max. Wrestling wise, I'll probably give him a 9 because he was never able to put it all together. And his look, I'll probably give him an 8. An 8, 7.5, 8. But I think he is the best all rounder. What do you guys? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. What do you guys think?
You're pretty much spot on, like you said. Unless people go back and watch him as stunning Steve, or the ring master, you don't see that technical side of him at all, because of the injury really affected his in-ring ability massively, which, like you said, is a massive shame. But it kind of helped him become one of the greatest brawlers and storytellers ever. His crowd control is amazing. His timing was fantastic. The selling he did, his intensity. Yes, the weaker side of it is his attire, but there weren't many people out there doing flashy attires anyway. I mean, even The Rock had black trunks and boots, or somebody used to wear black trousers, or they might have a white track. I mean, it weren't a time where big attires were really a thing. Yeah. His promo ability, 100% agree. 10 out of 10. There's very few names that you can say that match it. Unless you go back to Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, maybe, maybe The Rock. But, I'm saying maybe here because there's not a lot of people better. His character work, again, is flawless. I mean, it's definitely up there. I'd probably give him a 9 or a 9.5.
Yeah. Alan, I remember watching the WrestleMania 13 match at your house. Me, you, and our friend at the time, Michael. We watched.
That's right. May 13. That's right.
And we were all absolutely blown away. I remember all our reactions. We were all absolutely blown away by.
Yeah, it was an amazing match, amazing technical match. Because Austin was going around saying, Brett's not the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, because that's me. I'm the best in-ring wrestler. I'm the best technical mat wrestler going. And the match they put on at that event was absolutely amazing. From bell to bell, it was a fantastic match. The execution of the moves was spot on. The storytelling of the match was awesome.
The double turn at I've never seen the double turn ever come close to that one.
No. And you probably never will again.
No,
never will again. I mean, Austin's in-ring capabilities. When he came in as a ringmaster when he was staying Steve Austin, he always put on the work. Every time I used to tune into WWE Worldwide or whatever it was, and Austin was on there, he always entertained. He was like the WWE version of the $1 Million Man. He could hit Bruce perfectly. He could take bumps perfectly. His promos weren't too bad. Obviously, this is before the Austin 316 kick your ass thing he did at King of the Ring. But the man was spot on. Everything he did was a joy to watch. And like you said, when he got injured in '97 by Owen Hart, it just ruined him. His career just went downhill. Completely went downhill. He just went back to throwing punches, mudhole stomping. He'd do the first press. He'd hit the stunner, and that was his moveset. After that, everything else that made him what he was.
he also couldn't take lots of bumps. He wasn't allowed that he couldn't afford to take lots of bumps. So basically the moves that could be done on him was much more limited by his opponents as well, because they need to be so careful with him because of the damage of his neck. So there's loads of moves he couldn't take anymore. So so his matches paid for that because he could only take a certain amount of the moves. There's certain moves that he just wasn't allowed to take because of the neck. So that affected his matches as well. That's why they became they became punch heavy, because they couldn't do the technical moves anymore because he literally couldn't afford to take the bumps because of his neck. It's a shame.
If that injury never had happened,
wow,
yeah, wow. He literally would have been tens pretty much across the board apart from his attire.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think he would have eclipsed. I mean, people can always say like the Rock and Austin were kind of tied, and I guess they were pretty close. But I think if Austin not got injured, he would have run circles around the Rock, because the Rock was not the best technical wrestler. Austin was significantly a great technical wrestler, and he definitely had that ability over the Rock. But you wouldn't know it because when they were both fighting each other, it was after Austin's injury. You wouldn't know. It's a shame.
Yeah, so the Rock carried it quite well.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So that was just an interesting one, guys. I don't know if you enjoyed that. A lot of us are old school wrestling fans, so we can go back a little bit. Very interesting from Com. I wasn't expecting that name. Considering that my moniker is Tequila 316, you can say, well, maybe you might have suspected that I might have chosen Austin. I mean, it's literally in my name when it's 316, and there's a reason for that, obviously.
Do you know how Austin got his name? His nickname, Stone Cold.
It was his wife, wasn't it? His wife at the time came up to him and said that don't drink your tea before, because his wife was British. So she said, drink your tea before it gets stone cold. Yeah, I've heard stories about Austin. Apparently the names WF gave to him was classic names like Chili McFreeze and Ice Dagger. I'll always remember Ice Dagger because can you imagine if he was called Ice Dagger?
Rubbish.
God, can you imagine? Yeah.
That's Vince. If people wonder about Vince McMahon's creativity and tell me he was this creative genius, no, he was a good promoter, creative genius. He wanted to call Steve Austin Ice Dagger.
No, but I mean, like I know you're saying mine. You wouldn't expect mine, but like when I was wrestling, I basically have put my character around Jushin Thunder Liger. Not all of his moveset, because I wasn't able to do everything that he could. But yeah, it was my idol.
Yeah, you're saying special. Jushin Liger.
I don't think you can go wrong with any of our picks, to be honest. They're three of the all-time greats. I mean, Ted DiBiase is probably a criminal that he never became a world champion. He certainly should have. There's
officially,
no
anyway.
Well, yeah. He certainly and had the funny thing about DiBiase, Alan, just quickly, had Honky Tonk Man not refused to lose the IC title back to Randy Savage, Ted DiBiase would have been a world champion. So if you want to blame somebody, you can blame Honky Tonk Man, because Savage was not originally meant to win that tournament. It was meant to be Ted. But because they promised Savage a big push, which is fair enough because he was a big star, but because they promised Savage a run with the belt, his backup plan or his compensation was to get the world title instead of the IC belt. So Honky kind of did him a favor without anyone realizing. But DiBiase was the one who paid the price because he never got the world title officially. Shame.
Boo.
Boo Honky Tonk Man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then, guys. We've gone on for a bit longer. Apologies for keeping you guys, but we just thought that'd be a little bit of an interesting topic just to get some thoughts on how we view pro wrestling and pro wrestlers and who's special. Because obviously, I already know Alan's got a big fondness from Ted DiBiase. Like I say, 316's in my moniker, so it's not rocket science. But I'm surprised and didn't know, but I do now that the big influence that Jushin Liger obviously had on Com, which is interesting as well. So we hope you guys enjoyed our opinions, the wrestlers we liked growing up, who we think is probably the greatest of all time, based on our own personal criteria. If you guys don't agree, and we don't expect you guys probably to agree with us, leave a comment in the chat. Tell us who you think your best wrestler of all time was, but back it up, give us reasons why, and give us a rating out of 10 with those three criteria we talked about. I'm curious to see what you guys think, because we're all going to see wrestling a little differently. There's probably guys who me, Com, and Alan have completely just maybe even left out and not realized. So put it in comments and let us know who did we miss? Who really was your greatest wrestler of all time? and that's a lot of wrestlers to choose from. So, but I want to thank my guest for today. I haven't got a nickname for you yet, Com. Thank you, Com.
No worries. Thank you.
And thank you, Alan the Weasel Heenan, or Mantar. I know he's back to being Ted. He's back to being Ted.
Everyone's got a price.
He was Mantar, and he's upgraded, and it is an upgrade. He's upgraded from Mantar to Ted DiBiase. Bless him.
There you go.
And Jesse Ventura, as much as I love Jesse, he was an awful wrestler. So I can't pick Jesse. Best commentator, though. But that could be another topic for another week. But thank you all for joining us. And cool. Please join us next week at 7 p.m. We'll be discussing the fallout from the Clash in Italy, I guess, and Raw again.
Rematch in Italy.
Rematchamania. Right. So that's it, guys. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again next time. Take care and bye for now.
Ta-ta.
Right over.